here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Hey, this is Hunter from Thrills United, and you're listening to the Koaster Challenge podcast.
Hi, this is Skylar from Koaster Kids and Thrills United, and you're listening to the Koaster Challenge podcast.
Hi, I'm Jacopo. I'm the Thrills United Koaster representative from Rome, Italy, and you are listening to the Koaster Challenge podcast.
Hey guys, it's Logan from Thrills United, and this is Thrills United Month on the Koaster Challenge podcast.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Thrills United Month here on the Koaster Challenge podcast, and I'm David Cantu.
And I'm Micah Shifley.
And today we've got a very special treat for you guys because we also, it's not just like Happy New Year to everybody out there. Hello, 2022. It's going to be an incredible year, and we're going to kick it off with a very, very special month for you guys. We're going to kick off January with a very special edition. For the first time here on the Koaster Challenge podcast, we are going to highlight the Thrills United Month, and we're going to be celebrating Thrills United, which is a great organization right here in the U.S., but it's really an organization that makes an impact all the way around the world.
Yes, you can find Thrills United representatives from anywhere between Spain, Germany, Japan, and more. There's even some in Australia now, I heard.
Yeah, it is. Thrills United was started by Logan Joyner, who also originally started Koaster Kids. And Koaster Kids is what really has helped grow and made Thrills United the way it is today. And their mission aligns along with our mission, is we are out there to help people be able to push their fears, be able to help break their fears, break their anxieties, help get them out of depression, but also building friendships, building a community, and just bringing everybody together with a common phrase, be brave and ride on.
And what's amazing about Thrills United is a lot of these kids started out as Koaster Kids themselves, and they've grown just like Logan has to Thrills United reps that you can see today.
Yeah, and it's really amazing because a lot of these kids that are Thrills United reps, we've watched them either in person or on YouTube alone over the years, just watch them grown. And I remember seeing some of these reps when they were kids during Koaster Kids, and now just seeing them as grown teenagers, their voices have changed. It's just really amazing. And but these guys have stuck together for so many years. The fact that they're doing this, that's why we are honored on behalf of the entire Koaster Challenge podcast team that we want to be able to celebrate Thrills United Month with these guys. And we are going to kick off our first episode of the Thrills United Month with a very special guest, with one of Logan's regional representatives. We actually have here on the podcast for our first season, our very first international guest, Iva.
Yes. So we have Lacopo here, and Lacopo is from Italy. And what's amazing is that he started his love of coasters at a very young age, riding the mine train ride at his local park.
Yeah, just like a lot of us coaster enthusiasts, it's amazing how we start off by the little coasters, and how the little coasters can make us ride even the bigger coasters, to even having us doing even more thrilling things. Like the one thing about Thrills United is that it's not just about roller coasters. They do like high thrill adventures, from skydiving to bungee jumping to cliff jumping, you name it. Anything that's a high thrill, that's what Thrills United is doing. It's basically pushing your fears, bumping it up a notch by challenging yourself to do even more extreme thrills.
Yes, the big thing about Thrills United is training yourself to face your fears. Like you said, whether it be something very extreme or something just as getting off of your first roller coaster.
So Andrew is standing by with Lacopo. That's going to be a great interview coming up. But first, the biggest thing is like, what is Thrills United? Why are we celebrating Thrills United Month here? You know, Logan had the opportunity to sit down with all his regional reps to be able to have a really fun Q&A discussion of what it's like to be a regional rep. So take a listen.
Hey everyone, it's Logan, and this is actually going to be what it's like to be a Thrills United regional representative. So the first question is, what do you like best about being a rep for Thrills United?
The thing I like most about being a Thrills United regional representative is the sense of community and all the friends I've made.
I personally love the fact that I've been able to meet so many people and become part of a really massive community that cares about everyone.
So the thing I love the most about being a Thrill United's regional representative is the memories or the adventures you can create with all the teams. So thanks for that.
One of the things I really enjoy having the pleasure of being a regional rep is just everything I get to do with it. I love providing content for Logan, especially during the times during the off season where Florida is really the only state that has everything open. So I do love going to all the parks throughout the season, trying to give him content so you guys can always be entertained. I will also say I love everything I get to do, like going to IAPA for Koaster Kids and Throws United, which is so fun, and I'm so thankful for that, especially for Alex Crump and Sean Sandbrook from Theme Park Worldwide. They were with me the whole time at IAPA, and we were just talking, giving me advice. It was just such a blast. That'll always be a week that I will just never forget.
I love helping people face their fears and go on rides. I know there's people out there who's like scared to go on rides and they don't know like how fun it is to go on them.
I love being a regional representative because I get to meet cool people and I get to be a part of a great community.
What I like most about being a Throws United regional rep is definitely all of the amazing opportunities I get and all of the amazing friends I've made. I love it so much.
What I like most about being a regional rep is that I'm able to meet so many new friends, go on such amazing trips with them, and make so many fun memories with them.
Now I am still pretty new to the Throws United community, but what I really like about it is just how quickly people have become friends in this community. Yeah, I just think it's such a good social thing to have this channel going on, and yeah, that's what I like about it.
The thing I like the most about being a Throws United regional representative is the community that we form behind the scene, like between us. That is the best part of it.
By far. For sure. My friends, the community, the people we meet, just like it's not the coasters or the parks or anything, it's the people. It's so nice. I mean, the trips are like so fun. All the people that I've met through them, meeting fans at parks. It's the most wonderful thing. It's awesome. That's like by far, I feel like for most people that are in Throws United, the community is just such a big part of the whole experience of being a regional representative.
What I like most about being a Throws United regional representative is all the friends that I've made and all the cool new experiences that I get to have.
And to be honest, all I have to say is it makes me so happy that all of you guys love doing this. I'm very thankful that I have so many extraordinary people on this team. It just makes me very happy. My favorite moment so far on this channel is something actually none of you guys saw the behind the scenes for. It was the launch of this channel. And it was like back in October when I thought of the idea to turn Koaster Kids into a charity and launch this new channel, Throws United. I already thought of the name. We already got the logo figured out. We got all the merchandise designed, printed, and purchased. And all of that was done in secret. And we actually almost missed the premiere. Me, my mom, and my dad were on a trip to the Carolinas, and we got stuck in traffic, and we arrived to the hotel literally like 15 minutes before the premiere. It was pretty stressful, especially since I didn't know if people were going to like it. I didn't know if people were going to hate me, and if people hated me, I would have wasted thousands of dollars, so I would be screwed. And during the premiere, me and my family were launching the new channel, turning it from private to public, uploading the first video, and also doing the same thing for our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And we were like so nervous for what the turnout was going to be, but it actually turned out amazing. Some of my best friends were calling me, congratulating me for the change. We gained around 1,000 subscribers that night. We got a ton of views on the bungee jumping video, and that was just an incredible fun experience that happened so fast, and I just absolutely loved it. So that's it for this installment of the Q&A, and stay tuned for the next few questions and answers. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Logan. All right, so Andrew is standing by with our first guest from Throws United, and that is Lacopo from Rome, Italy. It's our first international guest, guys. We're very excited to have him on, so take it away, Andrew.
This is Andrew, one of the producers of the Koaster Challenge podcast with you once again. Today we have a special guest. Welcome from Throws United, Lacopo. Hi, Lacopo. How you doing?
Hey, guys. What's up?
Not too much. How about yourself?
You
been hitting any
yeah,
hitting any parks lately?
Theme parks here in Italy are closed until the 15th of this month. Everything is still closed here.
Oh, okay. So the 15th. Okay. So what are you already have plans as which park is going to be your first?
Probably Mirabilandia.
Mirabilandia. Oh, nice. I've heard good things. I've not been there. Yeah.
From the 20th onward for the weekend.
Gotcha. Wow. Hope that works out well. Nice. So when we get started here, why don't you tell us about yourself? Kind of already established you live in Europe, but you live in Italy, correct?
Yeah, I'm Jacopo. I live in Italy, in Rome, to be more precise. I'm 19. I love riding my motorcycle and riding coasters. I also have a huge interest in the entertainment, like the entertainment industry, more precisely the backstage of the productions. And that's what I studied in school.
Nice. Okay, so you said you have a motorcycle. What kind of motorcycle do you have?
I have 2 motorcycles. I have a small 125cc that is it's a small bike, but for Rome it's about fine. And I have Kawasaki Versys 650. That is my main bike, actually.
Nice. I actually have owned a 2 Kawasaki Ninja 650Rs years ago, about 15, 14 years ago. Yeah, exactly. The 4-cylinder 650, right? Nice. Yeah, those are fun bikes. I've had many sport bikes over the years. I'm now retired from riding. It's just you probably hear lots of things about us crazy Americans over the pond there, but
actually,
there's
some
way
better than us. Like,
I've heard about drivers in Italy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I've heard about drivers in Italy. That's a good point. But we have some crazy drivers here in the U.S. Like I live in Central Florida, near Orlando, and lots of tourists. And I've always made this joke: when people go on vacation, they don't bring their brain with them. Their IQ goes down or whatever. So all these people that are not from this area that don't know the local roads, it's very dangerous, and it's just not worth it. I see so many accidents happen. So you said you were really into backstage productions. So when we talk about theme parks, more so theme parks than amusement parks, so your Universal, your Disney's, your highly themed parks, they do tend to have a lot of stage shows and live shows. So is that the sort of thing you kind of are into, kind of how that all works?
Yeah, also, actually, the closest park I have here to my home is Cinecittà World. It's a theme park with movie scenes and movie theming. It's not really as well done as a Universal park or a Disney park, but it's what we have here. Yeah, that is really interesting, especially like how they can entertain you. I don't know if I can get the point.
No, that makes sense.
What is very interesting is how they can entertain you. Like, what is the mechanism behind the fun? I think that is really, really interesting. Not only for theme parks, but also for television, movies, and all that sort of stuff.
Nice. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. So let's talk more about theme parks. Let's talk about coasters. So I know you're a big coaster guy. So tell me, what was your first coaster that you rode?
Well, it's hard to pinpoint one specific coaster. That was my first one because my father used to take me like once a week to this local park that we had. It was called the Luneur. Now we have another Luneur, but it's not the same park as it used to be. Like when I was 5 or 6, he used to take me there once a week, so it's probably one of their coaster. The most influential coaster they had was the mine train, Treno della Miniera. I think I rode that coaster like 5 or 6 times every visit. That is probably the coaster I've ridden the most in my life.
Okay.
And that is what actually started my passion for coasters, because I was riding that ride, and at the end of the ride I was always looking toward the Schwarzkopf that was just next to it, and I was wondering, wow, that looks so wonderful. I wish I could ride it, but I wasn't tall enough. So that's how it all started.
Nice, okay.
That park closed in 2017, I think. I never got to ride that Schwarzkopf in that park. I was actually able to ride it when it was relocated to another park here in this area called Zomarin. So yeah, I actually got to ride that coaster. And it was my first really big ride.
Right. And this is a mine train style coaster, you said?
No, the Treno della Miniera was the mine train. The Schwarzkopf was just Looking Star.
Oh, okay.
Like the one at Frontier City or...
Right. You were talking about the mine train, then you jumped to the Schwarzkopf. Got it. Now I understand. So you rode the mine train though first, right? That was your earlier
coaster. That was probably my first coaster.
Right. Was that an Arrow mine train or a different company?
It was a Pinfari.
Custom
Pinfari.
Interesting. Yeah, it would make sense that and that park was there in Italy?
Yeah, in Rome.
Right. So of course, it makes sense. Pinfari would be more popular there given the Italian company. And I'm guessing you also see a fair amount of Zamperla rides there.
Not really.
Really?
In the smaller park, we can see some Zamperla, and you can see them in the flat rides, but I can't reckon any coaster from them, like big coaster from them here.
Right. Well, Zamperla, they don't make a lot of coasters. They make some. I've been on a couple of them here in the US. They're more about the flat rides. That's really their bread and butter. So you see those. Okay, makes sense. Talk to me whether it be, one of those first coasters you talked about, maybe the Schwarzkopf, or maybe something more recent. Talk to me about the coaster that you've been on that scared you the most.
The one that scared me the most was Katoon, the first time because I went to Mirabilandia the first time when I was 9. I wasn't able to ride any coaster, any of the big coaster, because they have an age limit. You must be at least 12 to ride their big coaster. I'm accepting my thought about this because it's not really smart in my opinion, but it's their way of doing it. I remember seeing this huge ride and it was just crazy and like nothing I've ever seen before. I've always seen a sit-down coaster. This was my first invert. It looked mind-blowing. The next year, when I was 10, I told myself, like, you look old enough to tell them you are 12 so you can ride them. When I was 10, I actually got my first ride on Katoon, and I was remember like looking at this huge ride before getting on it and thinking, wow, that it's absolutely crazy. Like, I don't think I can do it. But then I got on, my mind blew. Like, it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. It actually became one of my favorite coaster, and it stayed there for quite a while, actually.
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, Katoon, that's kind of, I guess you could refer to it as a second generation or latest generation B&M invert. It's not like the early ones like Batman or Raptor at Cedar Point, which are a little bit, not as tall, not as large of a ride, but Katoon and Banshee, I think they're right about the same height, just shy of 200 feet, like 160 some odd feet. So they're faster, they're taller, they're longer, they're the big B&M invert. So I can imagine how that would be intimidating. Yeah. So let's talk a little more about that. So the first time you rode it, talk to me about what was going through your mind as you were, getting ready to go on it, in the line, approaching the station.
My first ride was quite a strange story because I remember that day, first thing of the day, I went straight to high speed. I wasn't really afraid of high speed. It looked exciting, but not really scary. After my first ride on high speed, I was blown away. I decided to buy in Mirabilandia, it's called the Flash Pass. It's the skip the queue, skip the line.
Yep.
And the one I bought was not the most expensive one, but it was the one that allowed you to skip every major ride at the park. One quirk that they used to have at Mirabilandia was that if you didn't like to ride one ride, you could use that spot on another ride. For example, I used my high speed, and then I could use the tower on high speed to get a second ride. I got like 2 or 3 rides on high speed, and then I decided to go and check out the other coaster. I went to Katoon, and the first thing when you see it is, wow, that is huge. That is, I mean, it's scary. I don't know how to explain it. It was scary, but I had this pass, jumped in the fast pass queue. I got straight into the station, and I think that was crucial for me because not having to wait in the line didn't let me think about what was about to happen. I started realizing what had I done just when I was climbing up the lift. There was this moment when I was going up that I was like, oh crap, what have I done? But it was too late. I could do nothing to stop it. So I had to just go with it, and it was actually one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
So it's interesting, and we've heard this from other people we've talked to on the show here, where sometimes they don't have enough time to really think about things, or a lot of coasters like the ones we're talking about, high speed and so forth, and Katoon, they're outside. Most big coasters are outside, but on occasion you have coasters inside. Universal and Disney, or even sometimes Cedar Fair parks, even Six Flags parks. Some of the other parks, probably in Europe. I know Efteling, for example, is like that. A lot of coasters are inside. You can't see the whole coaster. You can just see the loading area. So you don't have your eyes giving you anxiety, giving you fear. But for you wouldn't have that blessing at Mirabilandia, with Katoon or Ice Speed, because it's right there. It's all outside, like a typical Six Flags park. So, but luckily for you, with your skip the line pass, you're able to get on it quickly and not have your mind second guess you or put fear into your head and so forth. So you got on it, and you're able to conquer the fear by not having the fear for too long, it sounds like. And then you said you loved it.
Yeah, I absolutely did.
Okay. Now, I'm going to guess that would you say that you've been on taller coasters, faster, bigger coasters since then that normally would have scared you more, right? But did those scare you? Those didn't scare you as much, right?
No. Absolutely.
And why is that?
Because when you realize that it's not dangerous for you, you just all your fear go away.
Right.
You feel safe going there. So even if you know that this taller is faster or scarier, it's going to be fine. You focus more on the fun part rather than the scary part.
Right. Would you say that kind of facing your fears on Katoon and realizing, oh wow, this is not just scary. It's not scary at all. It's actually fun. That trained your mind to be okay with other coasters.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's really what kind of the central mission, one of the key aspects of the mission of our podcast is to show to people, hey, theme parks can actually help you. And one example, like we're talking about here, they can help you face your fears so that you're not scared of other things later on, things that might even be even more intimidating if you had not trained yourself to face fear to begin with. And then there's other things we talk about as well, other benefits of theme parks, theme park therapy and things like that. How old were you? How many years ago? You're 19 now. How many years ago was it when you rode Katoon?
9 years ago. I was 10.
Okay, so you were really young. Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you because they had that age limit, and I was way younger than that. But like they don't.
That's
check,
right.
So.
That's right. You said that 12 years old, right? The age limit. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, that's right. I forgot about that. We all have different moments in our lives where we face the same sort of thing. You know, facing this major fear on a coaster. For some of us, you know, it's a mega looper, like for me, with lots of inversions. For you, it was an invert because it was very different from when you had been on. For others, it's X or X2, you know, a crazy Arrow 40 coaster, or, you know, a host of other coasters. It doesn't matter. For each of us, it's a different journey. It doesn't matter what coaster it is that we conquer. For David, it was California Screamin' with just one loop at California Adventure. And the loop was what scared him. It was just that one loop. Doesn't matter what it is we conquer or how we conquer our fear. It's the fact that we conquer the fear. That's what matters. So I'm glad that you had that great experience on Katoon. So let's talk a little bit more about the impact of riding Katoon. So obviously you loved it. You started to run after and go after all kinds of other coasters. Was there any other ways in which conquering that fear on Katoon helped you in your life, impacted your life?
It impacted my life in many different ways. The main way was that after that experience, I started wanting to ride more and more coasters and go out and try different parks, visit different parks, ride new coasters. Thanks to that, I started traveling more, visiting more parks, and get to know more people. And that was a key point of my life, because like you get in this beautiful community and like it does change your life because you met great people, you have great conversation and you make new friends. That's a key part of this whole experience, actually.
For sure. I can definitely relate to that. I'm guessing you've had some similar experiences like that because you got involved with Koaster Kids. Is that right?
Yeah, also, yeah. It all started when I wanted to go to new parks and try new coasters. 2019, I've done this huge trip in the US. I spent 5 weeks traveling through the US and going to different parks and ride new coasters. By actual chance, the day I was in Kennywood, it was also a Koaster Kid day. So I recognized them. I went there and talked to them. So that started it all for me.
So that's when you became a Koaster Kid or got connected with them? Nice. And that Logan was there, I take it?
Yeah.
And Jeff as
I've
well.
known Koaster Kid for quite a while then, but I'm not a really, how can I say it? I tend to value myself way less than I actually am valued. I don't know if I get the point.
No, that makes sense. So, but talk about that. So in other words, other people see you in a better light, in a higher way than you see yourself.
Exactly.
Right. So can you talk about that? Can you share a little more light on that?
My point is, I've known Koaster Kid for quite a while, but I never tried to become a member on my own. Not because I wasn't able to. Like, I could have recorded a video and sent to them, and maybe I would have been chosen. The point is, I didn't see myself being worthy of that. I don't know.
I see. No, I get it. Yeah.
Like, I got that opportunity. It's also beneficial to you because you understand that you are better than what you think you are, you know?
Right.
So this is also part of what being a coaster enthusiast made me. Like, if I wasn't a coaster enthusiast, I never would have had the opportunity to become a member of Koaster Kid. I would have never got to talk with you guys today.
Right.
So you need to jump on these opportunities, embrace them, actually.
Of course. You got to embrace life. Yeah, for sure. So it sounds like to me, and this is something that's very common with people in general, not just, whether it be in the coaster community or not involved in the coaster community, is it's a matter of self-confidence.
Yeah.
And we all have that in life. Yeah, we all have. That's okay. Yeah, I know English is not your first language. That's, you're doing great. You had some self-confidence issues, didn't think you were worthy or ready for Koaster Kids to be something like that, but you got involved with them. And has your self-confidence changed since then?
It's a work in progress because, I don't think that I'm that bad. I don't value myself like that low, but I think I'm not perfect. Therefore, you can aim at something, but it's always too high. I can make you an example. Last year, when we were about to give our final exams at school, one of our teacher asked us, what grade, how we valued ourselves.
Right.
What grade should she give us?
Right.
And I know I was great at that subject, but I didn't think I was that great. So I said I should have an 8, like we have this 1 to 10 grade. So I gave myself an 8, writing down this huge letter saying like, I know I'm good, but not that much. And she told me, no, I think you're a 10. It's like there are this small thing that build up your confidence, and
sure,
it's not something that is immediate. It's the small thing that build it up.
Of course, sure. Yeah, I mean, you said you're a work in progress. You know what? I got news for you, Jacopo. Again, I'm a lot older than you. I'm almost 30 years older than you. I've had a lot of life experience. We're all a work in progress. Every single human being is a work in progress till the day they die, whatever that may be. And, even if they live 100 plus years, it's there. People are constantly improving, changing, learning. So, and you mentioned you're not perfect. And again, no one is perfect. It sounds like to me, and I've had this in my life as well, in terms of like the work that I do at times, where the expression that I am a perfectionist, that I strive for perfection, and it kind of slows me down because I'm checking my work or redoing something because I want it to be quote unquote perfect or close as possible to perfect. And maybe that's something that you have. And but yeah,
I know I have it.
I had a feeling from what you said. So my best advice to you there is just remind yourself that you're not perfect, and that's okay, because no one is perfect. No human being is perfect. Sometimes, and most of the time, what your first shot is, it sounds like you're a pretty smart person. You really do well for yourself. You thought you had an 8, which was you were being very modest, and your teacher said you deserved a 10. That tells a lot. So my advice to you is just don't worry about perfection. Just go with your gut and, trust that, you've done good work before, and that should help you in being happy with the work you do just to begin with on a given project or maybe a paper you're writing or an essay or, an exam or whatnot. But don't get bogged down with having to be perfect, because that can kind of cloud your judgment, if that makes sense. You've been involved with Koaster Kids now for since 2019, so about 2 years.
2 years.
In your, you said you're a work in progress, but would you say in the past couple of years being involved with Koaster Kids has your confidence has gotten better, right?
It has, because if there is one thing that I cannot stand, like I used to not stand, is taking picture of myself. I don't know,
Right.
Many people have this problem, but it's something that I cannot stand. Like if somebody takes a picture of me and don't show it to me, I'm pretty fine with it. But if I have to see it myself, it gets sketchy, With Koaster Kid, I was forced to film me and see myself in videos, and that helped me. That helped me a lot.
Nice.
Actually, I used Trails United video as my final video for my exam.
Wow, really? And
yeah.
How'd that go? What kind of grade did you get?
The maximum grade, so 100.
Nice. Awesome. Congratulations. I had a feeling you were going to say a very high grade there. So that's very cool. So Koaster Kids and Thrills United, which has become, or, transitioned into a lot of the Koaster Kids became Thrills United. So it sounds like it's been a very positive influence on you.
It does. Unfortunately,
Right.
now everything is stopped, and like making new videos is kind of hard.
That's only temporary. That's only temporary. It sounds like, you've really had a great influence from the Koaster Kids and Thrills United. And I'm not surprised, because to be honest, as of a few months ago, I didn't know a whole lot about Koaster Kids or Thrills United. I had met a few people like Itai here in Florida, a really nice kid. I had heard of Jeff and Logan, never really seen them. I'm not a big YouTube person, believe it or not. I know I'm a coaster person. Just because you're a coaster enthusiast doesn't mean you're obsessed with YouTube. I don't do a lot of YouTube. I'm much more of a podcast person. Love podcasts, hence why I'm helping produce this one. Jeff, I've since come to meet Jeff. I've interviewed Jeff. I've met him in person. Logan as well. And they're great people. Jeff is a great role model, great dad to Logan. So I'm so glad, bottom line for you, that this organization, or these two organizations, Koaster Kids and Thrills United, have had such a great influence on you. And how cool. I'm assuming this final exam, when was that you submitted that? Was that this year? Last year. I'm assuming you told Jeff and Logan about that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I bet they were really excited about that.
I cannot remember, but I think I told them.
Yeah, I bet they would,
because I needed the file.
Right. That's really, yeah, of course, to submit. That's now what video was that? What was the video of?
It was the video I shot at Fuji-Q Island in Japan.
Oh, at Fuji-Q?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. You've been to Fuji-Q. Awesome.
Just before COVID started, so.
Right.
That was lucky.
Yeah, I went there in 2007. I went there. Rode Ijinaika and Dodonpa. It was before it became Dodonpa. it was the original, and the other rides there. That was a beautiful park. It sounds like did you enjoy that park?
Yeah, I did. It was really
Nice.
great.
Tell me, well, first of all, how many coasters what's your coaster count? How many coasters have you been on?
418.
418.
Yeah.
418. You're 19. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I know Logan's count is up there, but of course Logan's been all over the place, and his dad really helps with that because his dad travels a lot for work. But you at 19 years old, I don't keep like active tally of this, but I've met a lot of people. I've interviewed a lot of people. I know a lot, myself, my count, it just went up to 345 this past weekend. David's, I think, in the 200s. I have a lot of like intense coaster enthusiast friends that are in their 20s and even their 30s here in the US, and they travel all the time. And their counts are, I think, still in the 300s, maybe 400. And at 19, you've been on 480?
No, 418.
418.
418, yeah.
418. Okay, yeah, no, it's still well over 400. Impressive. So you mentioned the trip in 2019. You did a lot of parks in the US. You've been all over Europe, right?
Almost, yeah.
And okay. Well, yeah, some of Europe. And then you've obviously been to Japan, other parts of Asia as well, or just Japan?
No, just Japan.
So speaking of favorite coasters, look at all 418. A lot of coasters you've been on. Of all 418, which of them is your favorite?
418 is a huge number, so it's really hard to choose one over all the rest.
You can mention a couple if you want, or a few. That's fine.
Also, one thing that can balance your experience is how good was the ride when you went to the park.
Right.
May really vary like your top list. So
what I do, Jacopo, because that's something that I wrestle with. For example, X at Magic Mountain used to be my number one coaster. If I were to rate it based on my first ride on it, because I rode it opening year, I rode it literally like the first week it opened as part of season pass holder previews. If I were to continue to rate it based on that, it might still be my top number one coaster. Well, probably number two. But the way I rate coasters, and and we all have our own system. There's no set way of doing this. The way I rate coasters is based on my last ride on that coaster. What I know most recent to be what the experience is like that I personally have experienced. That's what I do.
Considering the fact that I may have like some really good ride on one coaster, and then maybe the next visit, I have one really bad ride that ruins them all for me.
Right.
Like I find it really hard to pinpoint one coaster that is my number one. But I can say that there are many coasters that I've always had really awesome experience. One of them is Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom. I have no idea why, but I always had an awesome experience in the park with the ride ops and crew. I don't know. I just love that ride. Some other really good ride, maybe Hyperion in Energylandia, Zadra as well. As I said, Katoon is a really good ride. Montu as well. I really enjoy Montu. Yeah, there are just too many I can choose for a ride, like for a best ride.
Sure. Well, no, those are some good ones and makes a lot of sense. What would you say is your least favorite coaster?
Oh, I think the worst experience I've ever had on a coaster is probably Flight Deck at Canada's Wonderland.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
The train just was so slow on those maneuvers, and it was so shaky. I think it was one of the few coasters I really felt sick getting off.
So very shaky, a lot of vibrations, and your head was getting
super slow. It was super slow compared to other SLC.
Right, and it is an SLC, so I get it. So you're the first person outside of the US that we've had on this podcast, and likely not the last, given the other people we have booked right now already. But so it's kind of fun talking to you. For you, you're like, oh yeah, I've been on G-Force 10 times and all this stuff, and jealous and all that. So I'm curious because different perspectives and everything. What would you say? I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So same kind of question. What would you say is the number one coaster you've never been on that you're the most excited to get on? And same thing with the park. What park that you've not been to that you're most excited to go to?
As the park goes, I'd say probably either Europa Park or Liseberg. The thing is that I've come so close to go to Europa Park twice. The first time I decided to skip it because we had one day to either go to Europa Park or to another park in the area, and the day after we had a flight back to Italy. And we decided not to spend that day to Europa Park because I wanted to spend at least 2 days there. So I decided we'll go to Trips Drill and we'll come back to Europa Park for a couple of days for a real visit. The next time was last year. I had this opportunity to go to both France and Germany just by train, and I planned a 2-day visit to Europa Park. Little did I know, you had to book your ticket in advance for the park. I had no problem in France, and when I got to Germany, I was like, oh, I'll buy the ticket tonight for tomorrow. Unfortunately, the park was completely booked for the next 5 days. So I could not do anything. And my choice went to just leave the hotel early and go to Cologne and go to Phantasialand instead. And that's what I did. But yeah, that was
so you missed out on so you missed out on Europa Park. Kind of one last kind of mainline question for you. We've talked a lot about different coasters and parks. We talked about self-confidence and how that's gotten better for you and facing fear. Any advice you'd like to give people in terms of, those sort of more serious things about facing fears and having better confidence, self-confidence, or anything along those lines?
For my own experience, I can say that the biggest problem through my experience, I can say that the worst part about fear is not the fear of the thing itself, is the thought about that fear. So for example, if I fear needles, for example, and I have the vaccine in a couple of weeks, if I constantly think about, I have to get the vaccine, I have to get an injection or whatever, I have way more fear than if I just don't think about it, go light-minded. Like, that is my main suggestion, is try not to think about what scares you until it's too late. Because usually when you find yourself in that situation that scares you, it's not as scary as you made it up to be in your mind.
Right.
So that is my biggest suggestion.
That's a great suggestion, Jacopo. Totally agree with that. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, vast majority of the time, whatever it is that scares us, with the things we think about, the anxiety that we get thinking about it, worrying about it, makes it out to be far worse than it actually is. Whether it be, like you said, a needle, and I know David, for example, he's afraid of needles, and he a lot of people are. I'm not, luckily, but a lot of people are, and I get it. They're sharp and scary, and he just recently had the vaccine himself, and he put a video up on social media about it, that he faced his fears. Great job, David. A needle, it's just a little brick. It doesn't hurt very much. It's very quick. It doesn't last long. So it's nowhere near as bad as we think it is. Your first experience facing fears on coasters, like we talked about at the beginning of the interview, that prepping you so that you're not scared of other coasters in the future. Well, guess what? Not only did that first coaster facing your fears in a healthy and successful manner, not only did it prepare you for coasters later on, it prepared you for all fear in life, where, something that's really genuinely scary and intimidating and could have really bad repercussions, you're going to feel afraid of it. I'm not saying you're going to never have any feelings of fear. You're not as likely to feel as intense of fear, or for it to be as paralyzing, because you've faced fear successfully before. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we call that, we talk about a little bit on the show, talk about, fear training or facing fear training. So I think that's really great advice along those lines, to remind people to help train themselves to not let fear overcome them, to remind them that, a lot of the time with a needle, it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as you are thinking about it. So just don't think about it. Just put it out of your mind. Use mindfulness. Go to a park. Get your theme park therapy. Get that, immersion in the parks and that distraction, the highly themed environment, escape from the world, getting that adrenaline on coasters and thrill rides, which is another way to, besides the immersion, that theme park therapy works, and just distract yourself and, give yourself relief. That's a form of mindfulness. Theme park's probably the ultimate form of mindfulness, where you're, normally we think of mindfulness as doing breathing exercises or yoga, where, for a couple minutes you're mindful. Well, theme parks, you could be mindful potentially all day. You could be distracted all day long, or at least most of the day. So that's my, great advice. If you're facing something really scary, a scary interview, go to a theme park today. So last thing, Jacopo, I know you and I connected on Instagram, but if you'd like any social media that you'd like to share with the audience, feel free to share right now how people can find you and talk to you all about coasters you've been on in Europe, and all our American audience probably would like to chat with you. So, well, I'm not really that active posting on Instagram, but it's probably the best place to find me. Right. My username is
IACB_. Yeah, you can contact me. I'm always available, almost.
Great. Well, thank you, Jacopo. I really enjoyed our conversation. We had some good talk about facing fear and self-confidence and some great advice from you at the end. And I really enjoyed our conversation talking about coasters and all these coasters that people like myself are dreaming to get on and parks are dreaming to get to. And yet you've been there. And that's so awesome, and loved hearing your perspective. So thank you very much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Lapuco. That was a really amazing interview, Iva.
Yes, it was. I learned so much, just how you can train your mind to help face your fears. And the one thing I got out of this interview was I love the fact that, and I know you do this a lot, David, when you visit some of the parks that you've just visited for your first time, is purchasing the Flash Pass or your Fast Lane passes. The one thing that I really took out of this interview was the fact that Lapuco, when he wanted to ride the one coaster, which was Cancun, he purchased the Fast Pass. So that way, when you're waiting in a normal queue line, you have to wait sometimes 2 hours or more, especially for those popular rides. And with the Flash Pass, it cuts your line wait time literally in half or to next to nothing, as we all know with purchasing them, and it helps make it to where you have less time to think about what you're getting ready to ride. So your anxiety, it's not as building up as you normally would when you're sitting waiting in a line like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be riding this thing. Am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to be able to face my fears? But when you don't have the opportunity to second guess yourself or change your mind, that really helps too. Because you're not focusing on the scary part. You're thinking of how fun this ride's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like with a lot of people, especially people who have disabilities and autism or ADHD or ADD, the patience of having to stand in a long line. Like I've stand in some lines that have been about almost 3 hours long, and it's really hard to stand that long in a closed, tight area, especially those that are claustrophobic. It is hard. It is very hard, especially for some people, and that's why there are special passes like the Flash Pass, but there's also the Handicap Pass. There's all these other parks have other passes where you can get a return time where you can be able to just go in, get a time, and then go, and then come back, and then you can be able to get on that ride at a decent time, which is, the parks do a good job of trying to accommodate, especially when people who have like these kind of disabilities, which I fully support and understand too. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a great interview. Really want to thank Lapuco for coming on and also representing Thrills United Month with Logan and Jeff and everybody. And I think that was really fantastic. We've got another exciting Thrills United Month episode coming up next week. And I hope you guys are eager to come and join us on every Friday. But Justin, how can they find us on social media?
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if you want to see more from us, we upload every Friday. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all at Koaster Challenge. Links in the description.
Thank you, Justin. Yes, guys, we've got a very exciting month. This is the first episode of Thrills United Month, and we've got 3 more exciting episodes coming up all throughout the month of January. Every Friday, we're going to have a new episode. Make sure to like and subscribe us on your favorite podcast network. Also, if you guys are listening on the Apple Podcasts, we highly recommend you guys please send us a review. Make sure to give us a review on Apple Podcasts, or if you're on Podbean, we also recommend that as well. Anything you like, make sure to check us out at coasterchallengeusa.com, and make sure to check out our Koaster Challenge store, where we have awesome merchandise, hats, shirts, hoodies, and all the proceeds from that is donated to charity every year. Make sure to check out our store and make sure to purchase a merch. But until then, this is David Cantu.
And this is Iva Shifley.
We'll see you all next week right here on Koaster Challenge.